Hey everyone! Today I want to go ahead and just walk you through my 2026 planner and journal lineup. I don't anticipate this one to be a very long one, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. Starting off with what I am considering to be my actual planner for 2026. This is an A6 Hobonichi HON. It's basically the Hobonichi Techo original, just with like its own design and cover on it. So it does have like the monthly spreads as well as like these daily pages inside of it. I'm expecting this one to just be my sole planner for next year, where I do all of my planning for like to-dos, scheduling for like appointments and meetings, and basically just keeping track of like events and different things going on throughout the year. I am planning on incorporating like some journaling and memory keeping in here though, just because that is truly how I see my life, is a combination of productivity and like memory keeping and stuff. So I feel like for me personally, it just makes a lot more sense for me to have that kind of like all in one planner rather than like separating the two, just because I feel like if I'm seeing a planner with just all like productivity stuff, I don't really want to keep it, and I also don't really have that much context to each of the days, where I feel like when I include journaling and memory keeping, that provides a lot more context even for like the planning and productivity side of things. So that's just kind of how my brain works, and I am planning on basically combining like everything into this little A6 planner, which I'm very excited for. I do have a full setup video that I will link right here in case you are curious. But yeah, that is basically it for my 2026 planner. Very simple and streamlined. I don't like to overcomplicate it by any means, so yeah, that is basically it. So this next one, I don't really know how to categorize it. I don't really consider it to be like a planner, but it's also not really like a journal either, and it's just housed in this A6 Leuchtturm 1917 dotted journal. This is something that I refer to as a life book. It's something that I basically just created for myself kind of like the tail end of summer of 2025, just because I felt like this was definitely something that I've been needing for several years now. And I refer to this as a life book just because I anticipate using this for like the rest of my life basically. And it also just has a lot of different information regarding like different aspects of my life. For instance, I have this important dates section in the beginning. This just has like a lot of birthdays and anniversaries, things that basically roll over every single year, and not necessarily something that would only pertain to like that specific year in like a 2026 planner per se. And then it also has like home improvement information, and so I just come in and write down like anytime we do like an upgrade for the house, then I basically just write down like the date that we did it, and if there's any like contractor information, if we like hired someone to come and do it, or if we did it ourselves, I guess, and then like a service description, so what we ended up upgrading. I also have basically like the same thing for our vehicle, just kind of a way for me to log like all of the different appointments that we go to, when we went to them, and what for. So I have like the same thing for my two cats, also like my appointments just over the years. I also have kind of like an area for like commonplacing and stuff, just because this is something that I like to take out and about with me, and so if I'm like waiting for an appointment or something like that, then I can just refer back to kind of like the quotes and stuff that I wrote back here and reflect on them. And then I just have like some more information back here that I would basically want to have with me at all times and be able to refer back to whenever I may need. So I do have a full separate video basically just going over this if you're curious, that I'll link right here. But that is essentially what I'm referring to as my life book. Definitely something that I will be carrying into the new year, and for like the foreseeable future really. This next one here is what I consider to be like my actual journal or diary, basically, where I come to write out like my deepest, darkest thoughts. So I don't plan to like flip through this or anything, but this is just an A6 Bibliophilic graph notebook that my sister actually got for me from her trip to Japan. But unfortunately, I don't know if you're able to get these in the States. I really wish that we could though, because I really love this notebook and also like the paper inside of it. It's very lovely. I do have one of those like zebra Paytan magnetic pens just attached to it. I thought that it just worked very nicely for when I'm like needing to jot down something very quick when I'm out and about. But yeah, this is basically just like my diary. It does change very frequently just because I go through them very quickly. I would imagine that this probably won't even take me to the end of January with how small it is. and with how much I've already written in there. But this is basically just what I'm starting off 2026 with in terms of like my journal or diary. And then I'll probably switch over to like a Leuchtturm or Archer and Olive after I'm done with this one. But this is basically just what I'm starting the year off with. So yeah, nothing too crazy. I just really love having a side journal where I can really just dump like all of my private thoughts into. Just because I do show my planner in videos, I don't really keep like those journal entries too deep or anything. But when I really need to think things through, then this one definitely comes in handy for that. So yeah, that is basically the explanation for my journal / diary. And then the final book for my 2026 lineup is this Midori 10-year diary. And this is something that I basically just come to at the end of every single day. And I just basically write down like what happened that day. It can be kind of like what I'm grateful for, any highlights from the day, or if it was just kind of like a mundane type of day, then I'll kind of just write down like what we did. So yeah, that's basically just how I've been using it. Nothing too crazy or complicated. I did start this the beginning of 2025, and so I'm only 1 year into it, but as the name suggests, this is supposed to span 10 years. So when 2026 comes around, then I'll go ahead and just fill in this second paragraph and basically continue the routine throughout the entire book. And then, yeah, once the year is over, then I'll come back and just start on like the next paragraph here. So yeah, that is basically how I've been liking to use my 10-year diary. Just a very nice way to reflect on the day at the very end of the day before bed. I do have a full video going over this book and doing like a full flip through and first impressions / review, so I'll go ahead and link that here in case you're curious and would like to check that out. But yeah, that's basically how I've been liking to use this Midori 10-year diary. So that does it for my 2026 planner and journal lineup. I know it's probably not as interesting as other people's, but for me personally, I just really love to keep things simple. I don't like to overcomplicate things. I feel like the more complicated it is, the less likely I am to use it and follow through with everything. So that's basically it for my lineup for 2026. I would love to know what your planner and lineup is. Let me know what planners you'll be using. If you have any recommendations for any specific journals, then please let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys and chatting with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.